Okay, I'm now going to do my video, hopefully a better video, on substance use and abuse. I've got notes in front of me because there's a lot to remember and I hope I get it all in. So that's why I keep looking down. So yeah, here we go. Substance abuse. It is a pattern of use of a substance such as drugs, alcohol, prescription drugs, steroids, and all that lot. But it's done to excess and in a harmful way. Usually because it's done so much it's becoming harmful. So yeah. This pattern is a type of behaviour that is often used to reduce anxiety, but the result is non-productive. So it is done similarly to addictive behaviours to reduce anxiety or stress, but it's not very productive. It doesn't really do much. It doesn't get you far, but it makes you feel okay. The activity is also considered to be substance abuse instead of substance use when it is inappropriately used. An example of that is when you see athletes and that using steroids to win. So that's abusive substance use. Substance abuse is linked to impulsivity. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's impulsive and you have this really strong need to do it or urge to do it. Some of the drugs that are linked with substance abuse and that people commonly hear of are cigarettes, alcohol, cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, methadone, other recreational drugs, steroids, and other prescription drugs. Ooh, this is so annoying, I can't speak. Yeah, other prescription drugs, any drugs really. As long as it's a substance, you can be addicted to it, you can be using it, you can be abusing it. Depending on the substance you're using and to the extent of which you're using it, it may lead to health problems, social problems, injuries, unprotected sex, violence, death, motor vehicle accidents, homicide, suicide, physical dependence, or psychological addiction. Okay, I'm going to take a breather because I want to just go through those. That's my little list of things it can cause, which I got from somewhere, but I can't remember where. Right, health problems can be such as liver failure from alcohol addiction. Social problems, you may move from one group of friends that don't use drugs to a group of friends that do, which not necessarily good for you as it will encourage you to continue with it, or you may just lose your friends full stop, because they may not approve of it, or you may not want to do it in front of them or use it in front of them or anything like that. Injuries can be anything from when you're high or under the influence. You could do anything to yourself. Unprotected sex, you're not always in control of your body when you're under the influence or using it to excess, because you kind of, it, depending on which drug you use, it can make you hallucinate or get paranoid or anything like that. Like cannabis would make you paranoid, so you may act differently, and that's linked with motor vehicle accidents. If you were to drive or ride a motorbike whilst under the influence, alcohol is a depressant, which means it slows down your reaction speed, and other drugs can make you hallucinate or make your vision very unstable. There's lots of things different substances do to you, but they're just a few. Deaths, suicide and homicide. You may not know you're doing it, but I heard this horrible story of someone near me who took some drugs and thought she was covered in spiders or some sort of bug, I can't remember, and she started stabbing where she thought there were the insects and animals, and because they weren't actually there, she was hallucinating. She ended up stabbing herself and killing herself in the end. But there's homicide and things like that where people get very paranoid about someone trying to kill them, or like there's MI5 out there to get you or something like that, and they just lose control, and they don't intentionally mean to hurt someone, but they do because that's what they believe is real. Physical dependence or psychological addiction. Pretty self-explanatory. People may think that they need alcohol to get through the day. They think there's no other way to get through the day other than to drink. And physically, someone may feel that smoking cannabis makes them feel so much better, so they drink. They don't drink, they smoke. Sorry. Alcohol abuse is also associated with increased risk of committing criminal offences, including child abuse, domestic violence, rape, burglary and assault. I do law at A-level, and we see on when we watch little TV clips, we see a lot of things with alcohol, like when they get taken into the station and they're under the influence, you know they're under the influence, they get quite violent. And one of these poor blokes was a lawyer himself, a very well-known lawyer, and he made a right idiot out of himself because he was drunk. He wasn't an angry person or anything, he just was drunk. Anyway, right, I'm going to give you some signs and symptoms I'm going to give you some signs and symptoms to look out for if you think someone is under the influence or is abusing the use of substances. So I'm going to read them off my list. That's why I'm not looking up. I haven't got my glasses on, so I'm squinting. Poor hygiene, poor self-image, their grades may drop, violent outbursts, an increased use of eye drops, unexplained weight loss. Sorry, the dog's barking. That's not a sign or symptom, my dogs are just barking. Sorry, cover your ears. Dogs! They're not going to shut up. So, drug paraphernalia, curfew violations, running away, unexplained cuts or bruises or sores. What are you doing? Slurred speech, hostility towards close people, such as family and friends. You may be able to smell alcohol in their breath, or smell smoke, but don't mistake it for cigarette smoke, for cannabis and all that. You're alright. Glassy eyes or red eyes. Valuables missing and money missing, because they may be stealing money and things to buy the drugs. Or having on their person stuff that you know that they wouldn't normally have, such as watches and jewellery that they didn't have before, or a lot of money on them. A change in social group. They may be quite depressed, maybe withdrawn and isolating themselves. They may be quite reckless, like they're not really afraid to do anything. They may drive recklessly, they may do reckless things. They may not seem to care much about themselves. They may not think much about their future. They don't really care about their future. All they worry about is now and when they're going to next get high or whatever. They may go against their religion or family rules or values. Disrespectful. May lie a lot and be deceiving. May be manipulative. Bit sneaky. Don't really care about the consequences, what's going to happen to them if they continue the way they are. May drop hobbies, positive hobbies, or activities that they did, like if they're a swimmer they may stop swimming, or if they're a horse rider they may stop horse riding, or something like that. They can be quite verbally abusive, and have a lack of motivation, and if at school or work they may bunk off, be a truant and not go to any lessons. But drug abuse can cause mental illness. This can happen whilst they're on drugs or once they come off, and it may last for a while after they're clean. It can happen during withdrawal and after withdrawal, but usually not for that long after withdrawal. Abuse of hallucinogens can trigger delusional and other psychotic changes, and cannabis may trigger panic attacks during whilst they're intoxicated and after they've been intoxicated. Severe anxiety and depression are usually caused if by any substance, alcohol. In most cases these drug-induced psychiatric disorders will fade away after a long period of time without the substance. But everyone is different, and drugs affect people differently, and withdrawal affects people differently. So being without drugs for a long period of time may make someone's mental health better in some circumstances or worse in some circumstances, because for example, if I was to drink a bottle of vodka a day, it may take me a really short time to become depressed and down, and it will take me a shorter amount of time to recover after withdrawal from depression and anxiety. Whereas with someone else, it may take them a lot longer after withdrawal to lose the anxiety and the depression. It just depends who you are, what your body's like, what your body can tolerate, what it can't tolerate, how it deals with different substances in the body. But drug abuse changes mood, level of awareness, sensations and perceptions, meaning that it can make some people really irritated, and they can switch between moods really dramatically, and it can make people less aware of what's going on. They don't really see what it's doing to other people, what it could do to other people, how other people see it, or other things like physical things. They may not understand that the more they drink, the less likely they are, the more they take drugs or drink, the less likely they are to be able to go down to the shops in 3 hours. Perceptions and sensations. People may lose smell, and taste if they abuse substances, because it just ruins part of your body. But you can now get home drug test kits, which I do not promote, because I know a load of parents will probably go out and buy them and test their children, and it would be quite mean, and the kids won't be very happy. But you can get home drug test kits which can help identify any recent use of common street or prescription drugs or alcohol. So if you're going to go and test your kids, please be nice about it, and don't blame it on me. But I'm going to move on to withdrawal now. I know I'm being really long, but there's a lot to say about this, and I've gone through it with someone in my family, and there is a lot you need to look out for, and a lot that is around it. Central to the role of nearly all the drugs that are commonly abused is the pleasure that is received. Withdrawal symptoms can vary significantly among individuals, but some which are normally found in withdrawal are depression, anxiety and craving, and if extreme, can drive the individual to continue the drug despite significant harm. So they may take it up even though they've gone so far. They just can't cope without it, and that's it. They're done. But as the symptoms vary, some people are actually able to go cold turkey. They just give it up, full stop, and they don't have to go on it again. That's it. I wish life was that easy. They just come off it. They're not addicted to it anymore. They don't need it. They can just say, I'm done with it, full stop. While as others never find success despite repeated efforts. Withdrawal, however, is more serious, and comes with serious medical issues. It's different with some substances than others. For example, nicotine withdrawal is usually managed without medical intervention. Attempting to give up benzodiazepine, I think that's how you say it. Benzodiazepine. Bendiaphine? Oh, I don't know how you say it, but that one. Or alcohol dependency can result in seizures, or worse if not carried out properly, because of the harm it's already done to your body. I mean, a lot of people know about alcohol and how it affects your liver, and it can just do terrible things to you if you take it out. And I'm not really going to go into it, but yeah. A sudden full stop to a long constant alcohol use can lead to confusion, diarrhea, insomnia, nightmares, disorientation, agitation and the shakes. So it is important that a healthcare professional is on board before withdrawal starts, just for health and safety reasons. Helping someone who is suffering from substance abuse is quite tricky, and I'm going to explain what I've learnt, and hopefully it will help if you want to know more about it. I really don't recommend that someone who wants to stop or is in need of support does it without a professional. Professionals are there to help people stop or to come to terms with what they're doing to themselves in a healthy way, in a way that they've been trained to do, and it does less harm, and it's not as confusing for the person, and it just generally does it in a much cleaner way. It's important that you're there for them and that you don't need them, because someone who is going to support groups or counselling or is seeing their GP or a doctor, they may be afraid that you will leave them, or that you hate them for it, or that you're not going to be there. They get really worried about these things and they're ashamed of it, and you just need to be there to support them, but you need to realise that you can't be a superhero, you can't fix them on your own. You need a professional to help you. It's not as easy as you think it is. They need professional help that you cannot give them. But there are support groups you can send them to. And it's important that you don't interrogate them about it, because that can lead them to like drink in secret or take drugs in secret, and then it gets a bit dangerous because of everything medical going on, and that's sometimes when overdoses can happen, when they're taking it in secret because they are afraid that that they have to tell you, or that you're angry with them. You can't do it on your own, you have to know that, and you have to accept it, but you can just support them. Professionals are very good with it. A lot of them who do it have been doing it for ages. There are support groups out there such as Alcohol Anonymous, AA meetings, and other different support groups. I recommend, if you're worried about someone, getting them doing positive social activities such as skateboarding, rollerblading, ice skating, swimming, horse riding, chess, anything practical that they can keep going with. Maybe learn a musical instrument or something like that. Also, the person who is suffering from it may find it's easier to talk to a stranger, as they don't have to be afraid to disappoint anyone. They can be honest about it and deal with it appropriately and in the right order and all that lot. So I'm going to leave it there because I've spoken for 23 minutes plus. So take care. I hope that wasn't way too long. Well, it really was way too long, but anyway, that's substance use and abuse. So take care.